创业新生代带你听见创业新生代。在今天这一节的节目里面，我们继续是要邀请到 Audi Japan 的代表来跟我们来聊一聊，就是企业跟新创之间合作的美感。在上一节的节目里面呢，我们主要是针对了 Audi Japan 在就是跟日本新创的合作的那个个案上面进行比较深度的，而且尤其针对循环经济这个产业做一些比较深度的剖析。那我们现在把它视角再拉得高一点，我们纯粹的就是从比较大的方向来看企业跟新创之间怎么合作。当然企业跟新创之间要克服的困难啊，或者是有很多跨产业跨领域跨文化的沟通啊，甚至是大家都知道今年面临到了 COVID-19 的疫情，数位转型变成一个非常非常重要的议题。那包含了 Audi Japan 自己，还有非常多的大企业，还有新创团队都一起要面临数位转型的这个 issue。所以我们今天要邀请到 Silke 继续来跟我们聊这件事情哦。好，那还是回到我们的最大的题目，就是说大企业跟小新创的合作近年来变得非常的密集。事实上企业想要透过新创来活络创新，然后呢新创呢则是需要企业在资金或者是资源上面的协助。其实双方都会碰到一些需要彼此契合的挑战跟困难，那我们也想要透过这个难得的经验了解 Audi 的这个经验跟想法哦。So hi Silke, it's nice to talk to you again. To us, it's often very challenging for enterprises, big companies, to work with startup companies. So what is your experience?
Yeah, so I think generally Japan's corporate culture is nearly notoriously conservative and famously opposed to change and innovation. I think I can say this because the Japanese are joking about this themselves. So I believe that startups find it especially hard to connect to corporates in Japan. I assume this is different in other Asian countries. Maybe there's a bit more openness to news, but Japan's culture is very risk avoiding, which is the total opposite of what a startup needs. And to start a business cooperation with a Japanese corporate, I think a startup should ideally have first connections that introduce them to key people at the corporate. And of course, they need to have stamina. They need to know when they reach out to Japanese companies that they need to have time. Will probably take a lot of meetings with people on different levels, and you have to prepare for this. If you're short on finance and you need to win a first customer, then maybe this is not the right time to try to start business in Japan. Come when you have a financial buffer to allow you to have time to carefully prepare, because I think then if you have the first pilot and it's successful, also the commitment on the corporate side will be very strong. But you need to have the time to convince people carefully beforehand. But I believe anyway that the COVID-19 crisis was an exogenous shock that will innovation in Japan, and especially as we are talking here about digital transformation. This it became very obvious, and it's the talk of the business at the moment, that the Japanese, also corporate companies, understood that they need to change. Like super simple remote work really used to be an absolute exception in Japan until this spring. Then suddenly a lot of companies needed to implement it and realize that a lot of processes, of course, need to be changed and need to be digitalized too. I don't know how it is in Taiwan, but in Japan we still use the company seal, it's called Henko. That's like a company's seal. You really actually stamp it on the paper, on the original paper.
Yeah. So do we. Actually, we're still using stamps to, to confirm the official documents or any kinds of authorization.
Yes. And we have the same in Japan. And of course, this made digital workflows very difficult because you needed to have an original paper document and you need to have this original Hanko. But now companies are starting to change, and even this centuries old tradition is now being modernized and digitalized. That's just a small example, but I think around this changes, having teams work remotely, so many things have opened up as an opportunity for new business and for innovation. And I think a lot of startups will benefit from this in future.
哇，其实我们都没有想到即使这么大型的公司，然后甚至是以 Silke 目前这样的位置，其实他在 Audi Japan 除了要跟当地的新创合作，除了要克服新创跟企业之间的不一样之外，其实还要克服德国跟日本在文化上面的差异。所以说企业跟新创之间要能够顺利合作，需要长期经验的累积，然后才能让企业创新产生更有效率，然后也更有效益的这个模式哦。那刚刚 Silke 其实也已经带到了，就是疫情对于日本的新创带来了冲击，那也影响了企业的工作形态，同时也加速了数位转型这件事情。那当然了，他说这也是一个很特别的 stroke， 对不对？就是对创新跟新创的合作的心态大家都更开放，某种程度来说也是一种转机哦。我不知道大家有没有发现，其实在我们刚刚前面的对话当中，你会发现到，其实 Silke 在不管是谈到人的行为、消费模式，他对于用户或者是以人为本的这个观念都非常的重视。我不知道这是不是跟他的心理学的背景有关，我想要来跟他聊聊哦。Okay, so Silke, during our past conversation, I noticed that you talked a lot about people. You talked a lot about user behavior, consumers, or human-centric, the ideas of human-centric. I guess it might be relevant to your psychological background. So can you share a little bit about it? That does your psychological background help or affect your expertise or your career experience?
Yeah, to be honest, I never thought about it like this. But of course, yeah, you're right. I mean, as a psychologist, you learn to pay attention to people's motives. Yeah, why do they behave like they do? Or how can I motivate them? And how can I contribute, let's say, to a good working culture, but also achieve my results? So this might be something that helps, especially in cross-cultural teams. But I believe despite all eminent cultural differences, there are things that are important for people in all cultures. Like everyone likes to be treated with respect. Everyone appreciates to receive appropriate attention and immediate response. That's also something I really pay attention to, maybe because I'm a psychologist and I had so many behavioral experiments with how to achieve best results, give an immediate response. But yeah, I mean, it's so simple, but a please and a thank you after a job will create a working atmosphere that I think everyone appreciates. And that's the same, I'm sure, for German, Japanese, or surely also Taiwanese. So that's something everyone appreciates. And I believe if you stick to simple rules like this, I believe that people like to work with you, and that they also forgive you when you do not always comply to the correct culturally expected behavior. Because I'm sure I do not always behave like I should based on proper, like, politeness rules in Japan. But as long as people feel that you try to achieve a common goal and that you take an earnest interest in them, I think this will be forgiven. At least that's my feeling or my experience.
很高兴 Silke 愿意跟我们分享这么多关于他过去他的背景，然后如何影响他在新创合作，然后如何带领团队，甚至是创造那个诱因，创造动机，让团队愿意继续往前。那其实这也帮助我们更了解他。最后其实我想要了解，就是他这么资深的这工作经验，尤其他在 Audi 这么资深，然后 我们刚刚也听到数位转型这件事情，我想要知道一下他觉得新创对于 Audi 带来的影响跟变化是什么。Okay, we know that you have been working in Audi for over 20 years. Wow. And you're always closely observe the market. So during the digital transformation process, what's your opinion about how startup drive Audi Japan forward?
Yeah, so if I look at my area of responsibility, obviously innovation and marketing is digital, and there are so many new opportunities. But the challenge, I think, is to make them really fit into, let's say, the customer journey or the customer experience and really create a meaningful experience for people. Now, for example, during the lockdown in the Corona crisis, we tried to enable customers to interact with the brand and with our dealers digitally. I'm sure same challenge that a lot of other companies had. And I saw, for example, in Germany, in the Audi city in Berlin, they cooperated with a startup, offered a technical solution to make an online consultancy, hands-free, using a camera, like glasses camera, which was even connected to some kind of information system. So it blended in or showed the sales consultant information that were hidden to the audience on the other side. So kind of a script. And if I'm not mistaken, it was even connected to a CRM system behind that. So really cool. I thought we were trying to find a solution like this in Japan, but unfortunately we're not able to do so. So we had to, in the end, work with Skype or Zoom, which is better than nothing, of course, but like so many things that the salespeople had to keep the telephone in their hand, then they were not really used to like operate it properly, then they did not see any additional information. There was no link to a CRM system. So in a situation we never thought about before immediately showed what an opportunity there still is in the market to develop solutions that fit into these niches. And I'm sure it would not have been a business case before, because if you would have offered this to a car company or a dealer, they would probably have said like, but no, our customers prefer to come to us. And COVID-19 completely new opportunity to develop a solution for this. And or another example,
to make them still can interact with the brand virtually.
Exactly. And that's what I think all the brands try to find out. How can you not only like reach out to the consumers without physical contact, but to create a really good experience? I mean, there's a difference between just having a connection like Skype or Zoom, or really create a positive atmosphere and be able to deliver a brand experience. I think that's the issue still, because maybe technology is not as good as it should be yet. So we still need to further develop this. Like one, I think, famous example is also virtual reality. How to use virtual reality in a way that it enables a really meaningful experience, a really good experience for customers and for our audience. So we teamed up with another startup and tried to meet our target group in a large virtual convention, where we did not only like have a virtual Audi booth and a virtual Audi car displayed, but we offered consultation and product explanation by a virtual avatar, which was in the end a real Audi expert. That was the first time we did that, and the audience really liked it. We really got a very, very good feedback. But we also realized, okay, but the brand experience or the brand appearance, the way how data is processed to create an image, we are all spoiled by showing our cars in the best beautiful way on real fairs or exhibitions. Everything is flawless. Of course, if you are meeting with thousands of people in a virtual room, data processing is slow and the graphics are not as good as they should be. But it shows that there's an opportunity for the future. I'm sure this technology will further develop and will create new business opportunities, and also new opportunities for branding and for customer interaction.
Okay. It shows that Audi really cares about their customer.
Thank you. Yeah, of course we do. I mean, we are only as good as our customers perceive us. So it's so important that the customers have a good understanding of our brand and have an experience that really convinces them, because you know how important it is that people also are passionate about the brand and are curious to meet with us and experience our cars.
Okay, so thank you again, Silke, to have this podcast with us today and with all our friends in Taiwan.
Yes, it was really a pleasure for me. Thank you very much for having me.
跟 Audi Japan 的 Marketing Director Silke 聊天是一个非常愉快的经验，而且大家透过这2集节目应该都可以感受到他对于创新的积极还有热情。在今天的节目里面，我们谈了比较多关于创新合作的思维。当然你可能会觉得说，也许这都是比较大方向的概念，但是在任何的策略跟行动产生之前，我想要建立思维跟共识是最重要的一件事情。所以在此我也想要推荐所有的关心企业还有新创合作的听众朋友，可以透过 Audi Innovation Award 来认识跟理解 Audi 台湾在跟新创合作上面的创新思维。事实上 AIA 在7月22号还有7月23号的下午4点将进行他们 Demo Day 的线上直播，那这个直播将会在数位时代的粉丝团上面，邀请所有听众朋友一起来关注。也欢迎大家持续关注我们的节目，记得要订阅跟分享，和我们一起还有和 Audi 一起关心更多的创业新生代。